Ever heard of color psychology? Well, it's a thing. And it is a thing that you can actually use in your personal style and something that you probably already do. Possibly unknowingly, but still. Color directly works on our subconsciousness, which makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Certain colors put us on high alert, while others help us to calm down and feel relaxed. They either signal safety or danger. Colors can evoke certain feelings. They can be energizing or they can be calming and soothing. And this is something that we can actually use in our daily lives, in our wardrobes, in our style choices, but honestly also in our homes. But color actually goes a lot deeper than just that. Because we do react to colors, we can actually communicate with them. There's a whole language of color that we can use. Through color, you can communicate without having to say a single word. And that is something that you can use in your personal style. So in today's video, I want to go over some of the main colors and what they can communicate. And then also give you some tips on how to use color in your personal style, no matter what your personal style looks like. So if you're ready, grab your drink of choice and let's get into this. Alright, so let's begin by taking a look at some of the main colors that we tend to see a lot and what they can possibly communicate. I will also link a website on color psychology in the description box, so if you would like to dive deeper into this, then you absolutely can, and I highly recommend it if this is something that's interesting to you, because I think it's so fascinating. But let's begin with red, a color I don't wear a lot of. Red is associated with energy, also war, danger, strength, power, determination, and then on the more loving side, we have passion, desire, and yes, love. Red enhances the human metabolism, which in a way kind of makes sense. There's a lot of red foods that kind of bring up our digestion, so why wouldn't the color on its own do that? We have that link there. It also increases respiration date. It also increases respiration rate and it raises blood pressure. So it basically puts us in the go setting of our body. Red is a color that really attracts attention, which again makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. You would either have red foods, which would be useful to notice, red on animals, which might be a bit more dangerous, so also good to notice, or blood, which again would be a good idea to put you on alert when you see that. So red is a color that puts you on alert. Can be both positive or negative, but it grabs your attention. And it does so more than basically any other color out there. Moving on to blue, which is a color that I do have a lot of in my own wardrobe. As you can see, I am wearing like a very pale blue today. Blue is associated with calm and serenity, especially the slightly lighter colors of blue, like what I'm wearing today. It's seen as unique, enthusiastic, authentic, sympathetic, and personal. It's a very soothing color. Warm, funnily enough, is something that blue is linked to. Maybe from a warm summer day where you have the blue water and then a blue sky. I don't know. It's also a color that often stands for good communication and for compassion. So these are all things that the color blue can evoke when we see that color, when we see someone wearing that color and interacting with it. Other associations with the color blue, I am peeking at my nose if you were wondering. Idealistic, spiritual and sincere, peaceful, flexible, imaginative and nurturing. The physical effect of the color blue is actually the complete opposite of what red does. Blue is something that really calms down our nervous system. It calms down our heart rate. It slows our metabolism. So it's a very, in all ways, calming color, which if you know me, then you might see a link there, I guess. It's something that people often will tell me, that I have such a calming effect on them, or that it's so soothing, that my voice is soothing when I'm teaching. So it's something that kind of makes sense that I'm drawn to that color as much as I am, I guess. Moving on to green, the color of nature. Green symbolizes growth, harmony, freshness, and fertility. Again, makes sense if you look at the outside world around us. Green, new leaves growing, new plants, which does symbolize like a fertile soil. So it makes sense that these are linked with the color. Green also represents purity, health, a connection, vitality, and productivity. Green is a gentle color. It's one of the most easy colors for us to see, and it's very soothing because of that. It's also invigorating and relaxing. Green is considered to be a very beneficial color, both for our mind and our body. Like I said, it's a soothing, relaxing color, a refreshing color. This color also slows down the human metabolism and it produces a calming effect. Again, green is the color I wear a lot. I really enjoy green. And both of those colors are actually colors that I have a lot in my house as well. Just like looking around me. My nightstands are green, my dresser is green, my bedding is light blue, my curtains are blue. So green is often linked to tranquility and calm, and it tends to symbolize sincerity. Beautiful things to link to green, if you ask me. Let's move into some more energizing colors. We move on to the color yellow. Yellow is often associated with joy, with energy, with intellect, and happiness. It's a happy color. Yellow produces a warming effect. It's also a warm color when you look at the color wheel. We have cooler colors like blues, greens, possibly purples, and then the warmer colors like reds, yellows, oranges. And within those you actually do have cooler and warmer shades of all of them, but we'll go into that later. But it's a warm color. It arouses cheerfulness. It also stimulates mental activity, so I wouldn't recommend painting your bedroom yellow, but it could be very beneficial in more of an office space or maybe a playroom. It also, for some reason, generates muscle energy. Maybe because of like the yellow sun or something. Don't ask me why, but apparently it does. Bright, pure yellow is an attention-grabbing color. Again, just like red, it grabs your attention. Which apparently is the reason that taxis, cabs, often have the color yellow. Makes sense. They definitely grab attention. Actually, here in the Netherlands, they often don't have that color. A good thing to know with yellow, if it is overused, it can actually have an irritating effect rather than a cheerful effect. So it can kind of have an adverse reaction when you're overdosing yellow. Good to keep in mind. Also, babies are known to cry more in yellow rooms. So keep that in mind if you're ever decorating a baby's room, a nursery. Maybe don't paint the walls yellow. And studies apparently have also linked the color yellow to stimulate the left side of the brain. So increased activity in the left side of the brain, which is linked to rational thinking. Very interesting. Moving on to orange, which is a color I actually personally really don't like. I'm not a fan of orange. However, it is linked to joy, to sunshine, to the tropics, which kind of makes sense if you think about the fruits that are orange. It combines the energy of red and then the happiness of yellow. It represents enthusiasm, fascination, happiness, creativity, determination, attraction, success, encouragement, and stimulation. So it's a very go-getter, stimulating color. Apparently this color also enhances extroversion, so I could probably use some orange in my life. I'm very much an introvert. And it apparently helps people to kind of let loose and express themselves more freely. So it's kind of a cool color if you think about it that way. It's actually the color of the Netherlands, my country. Don't ask me why. Moving into a color I actually do really appreciate, purple. This is a color that I do actually have in my wardrobe that I enjoy wearing a lot, especially the lighter tones of the more lavendery purples. Oh, I also love the lavender flowers. But we're getting off topic. Purple is a combination of blue and red, and it combines the steady calm of blue and the energy of red. So the stability of blue, energy of red, which gives it a really beautiful energy. It's associated with royalty. It symbolizes power, nobility, luxury, and ambition. It also conveys wealth and extravagance, which is probably because the dye for purple used to be very, very expensive, so only the most wealthy people could afford it because it's so hard to make. There's so much material needed for that, which was kind of hard to get by. So purple was a very expensive color, and because of that we likely link it to royalty and wealth. Purple is also associated with wisdom, dignity, independence, creativity, mystery, and magic. I think purple is a really gorgeous color, like I already mentioned, and I love wearing it myself. But it's very interesting to take a look at what those colors actually convey when you wear them. And obviously different tones of the colors are going to have slightly different associations with them, which is also good in mind. So today we are just kind of using the overall overarching colors, the main colors, but even these subtle changes in tone of colors can convey slightly different messages, which is very interesting to look into. Moving on to pink. Pink is a very gentle color. It's a color that represents a gentle kind of love. It stands for tenderness, vulnerability, youth. I mean, baby pink. It's a calming, non-threatening color. I think there was actually research done on painting rooms a specific color of pink, and there was less aggression in those rooms. So that's kind of cool. It's a calming, non-threatening color. I think I already mentioned that. It's linked to innocence, to hope, and optimism. It kind of represents the positive aspects of femininity, like the nurturing, the kindness that come with that. I personally actually don't wear a lot of pink, but I do think it's a pretty color. It can be really nice. It's also linked to childhood, to sweetness, like I said, innocence, and sometimes also almost appearing as naive or silly. So it's a very non-threatening color, and possibly also kind of triggering because of that for some people. I know not everyone likes the color pink, but it does have these associations with it. I need some more tea. Also, I love this mug so much. I think it's so cute. It makes me happy. Alright, moving into the more neutral colors, starting with brown, which is a neutral I actually really like because of its warmth. Brown is associated with traits of dependability, reliability, and resilience. Brown is a color that is more reserved and it doesn't attract as much attention, so it kind of allows you to kind of blend into the background. A lighter color of brown can also represent honesty, stability. A darker brown is more considered as a mature color, predictable and sometimes also dull. Most people feel safe around people wearing brown, around people wearing those earthy colors in general, likely because they represent a certain seriousness, reliability, and support. So it's a beautiful color. It's something that I personally don't wear a lot except for in my accessories. I really like brown as well as a supporting role almost in my wardrobe. So in my accessories, it's a color I really enjoy wearing, but use it as you wish. Let's go into a more cheerful, lighter color, white. White is associated with light, obviously, goodness, innocence, purity, virginity, which is also the reason that white traditionally is a popular color for brides to wear on their wedding day. It's also the color of elegance and serenity. It is considered the color of perfection, like a completely white blank slate. It signifies safety, purity, and cleanliness, which is also the reason that doctors often wear white, and there is so much white in more of the medical fields because it is such a pure, clean looking color, which also can make it feel devoid of any character if used too much. But that is the reason that it's often used in those places. Usually white does have positive connotations. However, there are cultures in which white is actually the color of mourning. So keep that in mind. But generally for most populations, it's a cheerful color. It can also represent a successful new beginning. It often depicts faith and purity. Yeah, there you have it. That's white. In case you're wondering, most of these I actually got from that color psychology website. So, like I said, if you want to know more about any of the things that I'm mentioning, go check that out. Moving into one of my least favorite colors to wear. I like it as a color, I don't like to wear it. Black. Black is associated with power, elegance, formality, death, evil, fear, the unknown, and mystery. It often has a more negative connotation. Think of the words blacklist, black humor, black death. It also kind of conveys a feeling of strength, power, authority, and it's considered to be a very formal color. It's elegant and prestigious. And then also black is the color of grief, of mourning in a lot of the Western cultures. It's traditionally worn for funerals, which, if you don't wear a lot of black otherwise, can make wearing black to a funeral or as a mourning color even more powerful. And then we have gray, the combination of black and white, of the two opposites. Gray represents conformism, unattachment, neutral, impartial, indecisive, emotionless, steady, cool, self-restraint. Also often associated with moderate, dull, and discouraging. How happy. It is connected with maturation and obligation, intellect, futurism, modesty, and sadness. So it's not a very cheerful color, it's a kind of in-between color in a lot of ways. So it's kind of in between black and white, not either, and that also kind of conveys the same thing in the meaning of the color when you're looking at it. It can be a really nice color to wear though. Like I am wearing a dark gray pair of jeans today. It's a nice neutral, as you can probably guess from all of the associations. So those are the main colors that I wanted to discuss today. I could go so much deeper into any of these colors and all of the tones and shades of them, but we are going to move on into the story of color. So how to use these colors in your personal style. I actually like to call a color palette a color story because it tells a story. The colors you wear actually communicate something about yourself to the people looking at your outfit, to the world around you. So the question for you is, what do you want to communicate with what you are wearing? This is both towards the world outside as well as to yourself. The colors that you are wearing can invite certain feelings both in other people but also in yourself. So that's something that's really a good tool to keep in mind, really. So if you want to feel a bit more energized, go for a more energizing feeling color. If you need a little bit of calm and steadiness, maybe go for a color like that. So it's a very good tool to keep in mind. So your question is, what do you want your colors to do for you? How do you want to feel? And then also, what do you want to communicate? What do you want others to feel when they are around you? You can actually choose different colors depending on the situation that you will find yourself in, depending on what you need to convey in a certain situation or setting. So that's a really helpful tool to have in your personal style toolkit, and you can really play with. Like I said, I often get people telling me things around like being calming and stuff like that, which is a part of my character, but also probably because I wear a lot of blues, greens, whites, like calming colors, generally calming colors. I surround myself with them. So it kind of makes sense that people do pick up on that, even without me really saying anything along those lines. So that's how you can specifically use color in that regard in the communication. But something else that is really interesting to play with your personal style is contrast or harmony within your colors. I have such a dry throat. How much am I? Well, I've been talking for half an hour, so it makes sense. So, do you want to create harmony in your look, or do you want to create tension? Both can be valuable, both can be fun to play with, but it's good to keep in mind and do so intentionally. So, harmony versus tension in your color story. Today, I'm wearing a very harmonious look, and that is all cool colors, but there is some tension in the saturation of the colors, the lightness and the darkness, very light up, more of a darker gray. So there's a little bit of tension there. And the contrast, which this is, in lightness and darkness, what suits you, can actually be really different from person to person, depending on your personal coloring. I have a fairly like low to maybe medium contrast, definitely not high contrast. So lower contrast looks tend to look more harmonious on me personally. Asking yourself if you want that tension to be there between or in your outfit, so within the colors of your outfits, and then also between yourself, so your body, in lack of better words, and your outfits. Those are two ways to use tension or harmony in your outfits, and I will break them down. I already talked a little bit about the contrast levels. So in your personal coloring, there can either be low contrast or high contrast. Like I said, I have more of a lower, maybe towards medium contrast. I am quite pale. I have light color hair, light eyes. In general, my coloring is fairly light. So a lighter color is generally going to look more harmonious on me, but also less contrast will look more harmonious on me personally. Doesn't mean that it's always what I'm going for. Sometimes it's fun to create a little bit of tension by going for more contrasting, either between the pieces in my outfits, like I am wearing today, or between myself, my coloring, and then the colors that I am wearing. Something that is good to keep in mind, if you go for more contrast in your outfits, while that is contrasting with your own coloring, so when you are creating tension, that tends to bring the attention more so towards what you wear rather than towards you. So a more harmonious look can really make you shine as the person, I guess, whereas a look with more tension tends to grab the attention more so than the wearer. So that's a very interesting little trick to keep in mind. Not bad or good, either way. I generally tend to go for more harmony between my coloring and the colors I'm wearing. But yeah, that's fun to make your own decisions on. Okay, so then we also have cool and warm tones where you can create some contrast. So this almost goes into the whole color analysis realm. I'm a summer, I think. In that case, if you are wondering for like the color seasons, I have more of a cooler tone to me generally. And I, like I said, am lighter. But warm versus cool. So your own coloring can be either warm or cool, maybe something in between or a mix of both. For example, I do have more warmth in my hair color. My skin is very much so a cooler tone. I'm not even sure like how well you can see on camera. Like there's a lot of pink in my skin. And because of that, wearing lighter, pinkier, cooler toned colors around my face, but also in my makeup, tends to look better on me. It tends to look more harmonious and kind of make me look more awake, if you will, rather than warmer colors. Which doesn't mean that I've never worn those. I've actually had my hair orange before. And when I did, I would wear like orangey lipsticks because I like the look of that. It would make me look even paler than I already am. But that contrast was kind of nice when my hair was also orange. It didn't look bad at all. I actually had a lot of people thinking that it was my real hair color. I am getting off topic. But yeah, warm or cool colors in your own coloring, in your skin tone, in your hair. Like I said, dyeing your hair can change this because warmer colors did look better on me when I had orange hair than they do look now with my natural hair color. Now, cooler tones do look more harmonious on me, lighter tones look more harmonious on me. So that's that. But also within your outfit you can play with this. Warm versus cool. I generally tend to lean more towards cool all the way. However, I do like to add some pops of warmth through my accessories, through my shoes, through my bags, belts. That is where like I already mentioned, like to use the color brown, a warmer brown as well. I have both cooler tones of brown and warmer tones in my wardrobe, but if I do want to bring some warmth into an outfit, I tend to do so throughout my accessories because they're not as close to my face. And then also it gives a little bit of tension within the colors of my outfit, which I actually really like. So it still feels fairly harmonious on me because the main color blocks are still a cooler tone. But then there's a bit of tension through the warmer accessories. Like I said, I could also go for harmonious and just go for cooler tone browns. Would work, grays. But that is something that is good to know and fun to play with. And to decide for yourself if you do like a little bit of tension or if you like to have a very harmonious look. Neither is wrong, but I do think it's good to do so with intention. So to know why something is feeling off or why something seems to work right away, and then decide for yourself if that's something that you do want or do not want. Like I said, some people enjoy having that tension within their outfits and also between themselves and their outfits. Some people like to go for harmonious, and it might change day to day. But I do think it's a very good tool to have. So, that's it for today. Those were my thoughts on colors, on color psychology, and how to use that in your wardrobe. I hope this was helpful for you. If so, please give it a thumbs up, which truly helps out my channel. So thank you if you do. It might just mean that one more person gets to see this video. If you think this could be helpful for someone else, maybe share it with them. Again, would be really helpful for me. So thank you if you do. And with that, I wish you a lovely rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!